Hello preppers and homesteaders, or my prepsteaders, fellow prepsteaders. What a week. We've had the cold. As you can see, most of the snow is gone. Pretty much all of it is gone. We just had 6 inches. We're getting ready because this week we had actually good weather, and next week it's going to drop down into cold weather again. And as you can see from the other video, I had a lot of problems last week, and this week was fixing them all. So I'm going to go over all that right now. That's pretty much the majority of this video is going over it all. So the big hole in the house, the side of the house without the condensation, what a nightmare. So what happened was it was just condensating, dripping, and then when I used my thermal camera, I saw this bar across through the metal. Like I could still see it through the metal. It's like almost like it was kind of a big gap. So waited for the weather to get warm, and then actually standing in some snow right now. Not a lot of it though. You can see a little bit back there, just some patches. Took the whole wall apart. And then started peeking in there, and right away, as soon as I peeked in there, I could just see a hot mess. Wet, frozen insulation. And so then I had to take the whole panel down. Luckily, it's an 8-foot panel, took it off, took that off, and then got up in there with the ladder and then looked in there. I mean, you're gonna see, I'm gonna overlay this with pictures, but I mean, it was originally an air conditioner was wall mounted into there, and they took it out and replaced with a Minisplit. Well, whoever patched it took, I'm just gonna say like a 30-inch wide opening and cut a piece of insulation 24 inches wide. You know, it just wouldn't fit. The opening was much bigger. And then I'm gonna keep going into the, you can probably hear the wind. The weather's getting bad quick. So then, as I'm in there, I look and see what happened. So a couple things went wrong. Obviously they put insulation that was not wide enough to fill the gap. I'm gonna cut over here because it's getting really windy. Okay, I'm a little bit out of the wind. They cut insulation that wouldn't fit. That was number one problem. And then when they put the piece of metal back over, they didn't put any kind of vapor barrier in there either. The house apparently, I thought it was spray foam directly to the sheet metal. It is not. The barn dominium has the metal layer, then a layer of some kind of foam board. I'm not even sure what it is. It's some kind of foam board. And then the spray foam onto that. And it's almost, looking at it, it's like a mixture of like closed cell and then it goes to open cell because it's thicker foam against the base of the building. Then it kind of, as it gets off, it's a different texture, but that's regardless of the point. So then they cut that out. They cut that opening, and then they put a piece of insulation in there, just 2 pieces of insulation. No vapor barrier, nothing, just 2 pieces of insulation that didn't fit. And then to make it all worse, when they put the sheet metal on, they sheet metaled it back on. One of the guys, whoever did it, put a screw right over the hole, and it bit onto the insulation and spun it and sucked it in. So actually I could see that when I opened it up. It was kind of neat troubleshooting this. So multiple problems that they did. So then I went in there, I put a sheet, because I'll show you this right now. You can see inside the house there's just wood trim where that air conditioning used to be. They just put insulation right up to it. Like I can see right into the house because there's little gaps in there. So I put a sheet of vapor barrier plastic up against the opening into the house. I wanted to mimic the closed cell nature of the foam. So then I put 2 layers of R19 that I luckily had from the building that I didn't give away, because I didn't give away all of it. I kept some for projects. And then, since I have all that silver, I put that silver, I cut it to fit, and then I taped it. And then also when the metal goes on, it press fits even better. So that acts as the vapor barrier to the outside of the metal. And then it kind of acts like that foam board that's in there. So I have an insulating layer of foam, then 2 layers of insulation, and then vapor barrier into the house. I'm hoping it'll be just like the foam that was cut out of there. When I took the thermal to it, it looked pretty good. Like there's no huge, before there was like hot spots, the heat was coming through, it was condensating, dripping water. I mean, it was a lot of water. So I feel like my repair is really good. I was pretty happy with it. I'm gonna cut over to the other side of the building. Okay, sorry about my location. I'm out of the wind. I'm outside, but I'm trying to get out of the wind as much as possible. It's still pretty windy. So then patched it up, put the metal back on, and it looks pretty good. We will see this week when the temperature drops back down to 20. We did contact another wood stove company, and I gave them the measurements, and they said they can put a wood stove in there. They said they can pull out the propane stove we have and put a wood stove in there. Plenty of room for a Class A pipe. They just got to put some heat barrier in there, fiberboard. So kind of unrelated, but related, getting ready for the cold. The next problem. So the mini splits. Mini splits weren't working as efficient. The manual that I have for the mini splits states that at about 20 degrees, they're about 70% efficient. So went through looking at, what can I do to make it just a little bit better. So the insulated lines with the coolant, refrigerant, whatever it's in there, from the split unit to the house unit, the mice had been chewing it because there's a metal shroud that they built over it, the previous owners, and whoever formed it they did the bend wrong. They broke it incorrectly, so it was kind of flex positive instead of tight against the bottom. So mice and stuff could just crawl inside of it. So we kept seeing chewed up foam underneath. So went in, took off that whole shroud. Luckily, it wasn't 100% chewed up. It was maybe 25% chewed up. So I was gonna try to find new hose insulation. Went to town, went to a few different places. Nobody sold it. Home Depot had it, but so many different sizes and thicknesses, and it was pretty expensive. So I was looking at it, I was like, it's 25% chewed up. I took my thermal, and when you use the thermal on instant alert, it's kind of like white hot, but if there's a huge temperature differential, it'll show an orange. So I scanned over it, and sure enough, all the open exposed areas are orange because it's a huge temperature differential. And you feel them to touch, it's pretty warm. But then you feel the black foam, it's not warm. So what I did was, since I had all that silver reflective stuff, I took pieces, cut little ovals, cut little weird oddball shapes, patched up the areas that were missing foam, and then took some, I used some really good duct tape. It's like the military grade duct tape. I duct taped those patches onto there, and then I cut long strips of that silver stuff and made a wrap over the whole thing. Because I know one line's an inlet, one line's an outlet, so I made sure to keep the 2 separate lines separated, and then I made sure the electric line was separated, and then, because there's 3 different lines going, and then once I had them all separated, all patched up, and then I went and wrapped all of them completely, taped it all up, made a big long tube, because our run is probably longer than it should be. It's over 20 something foot, so it's not efficient. And then in the ends where they open and are exposed, where the pipes come in from the mini split into the shroud, I took steel wool and packed it in there, like a whole package of steel wool on each end. And then put the shroud back on, and then put a weight on it so it's holding it down, so there's no gaps. So now, when I looked at the thermal scope, there wasn't anything, you know, it was like a slight temperature differential, because unfortunately when you're looking at that silver stuff, even the silver itself versus the duct tape, there's a difference in temperature. So it was very close temperature differential, but no bright orange instant alerts, which means that there's like and even when I did white hot, nothing was white coming out of it. It was all pretty good. So I feel pretty confident about that. And then the mini studio. You can see it behind me right there. So the mini studio. We still kept getting Hornets. You know, we'd be working in the studio and all of a sudden a Hornet would just drop down off the ceiling, whatever. And so I went around the whole thing, and there was 2 corner trim pieces that didn't have spray foam on it. And one of them I went in and used my little inspection camera and stuck it up in there. I had to climb up. You can see the ladder still there. I got to go move it. It's about to blow off the building. Went up there, took the metal corner trim off, and the other 2 pieces from the one wall to the other wall where they met, there's a little bit of a gap. So then I stuck the inspection camera, went in there, went all up. At the very top was a hornet's nest, and I stuck a stick in there, knocked it down to the bottom, and then I filled that corner with spray foam. And then I went on the inside, and that back side, kind of by the deck over here, hold on, this side over here by the deck, all along on the inside of there. I'll show you right now. Let's just go in there, because I can't. Okay, nice and toasty in here. So these corners, if you can see up in there, I had tape over it. I spray foamed, and then I did not trim the top yet. You can see up there, I didn't trim that yet. Those you could, just to give you an example of the size, there's my hand. You could stick your finger into there, and this gap is about a finger width, but beyond that, that whole corner was open. It's like where the 2 2x4 walls came together, they left a weird void over there, and it's just completely open. So I filled that with spray foam. And then the other big thing, okay, so the ceiling's metal. It's just like a tin roof. That whole strip there, down this whole length of the building, I spray foamed. There was a really piece of janky trim of that still, let's see if I can find it right here, this stuff. It was just kind of stuck on top of that other piece of trim up there. And if you look up there, it was completely open to the soffits. And when I took that trim off, a bunch of Hornets came out, and I believe that's where they're coming in. So I spray foamed it all. I need to trim it now, and then I will put more trim back up there. And then we have another problem in here now, because let me show you that. Okay, so in the office here, my wife has some plants in here, and unfortunately, we have a huge amount of fruit flies in here. So we have the trusty the zapper in here, and I don't know if you can see this, but there's like dead, we have to clean this thing all the time. Like, these are weird fruit flies. They're like super tiny from whatever the plants are in here, and they're just, I mean, it's like every day there's like tons of them. I just can't believe how many are in there. So, and then as you can see up there, I still got to trim that corner. There's the mini split. And then up in that corner, I spray foamed that corner. I climbed up there with the ladder. That was the corner that I found the hornet's nest. So when I spray foamed from the other side down the whole length, some came through right there. So that just kind of shows you that this was not sealed as great. But then what's weird is when I peeked into all the walls, there is a foam board, insulation everywhere. They were really sloppy on the corners. So they left some big voids in the corners. I checked up on this one. I didn't really notice on this. This is the high peak up here. I really did not notice much up there. And for the longest time, don't know if you can see up there. See where that trim, the two pieces of metal meet? There's a start edge and a not start edge. And for some reason, whoever put the ceiling up there flipped it the wrong way so the grooves didn't line up. And then they just took, you know, a torque wrench, drill gun or whatever, and just snugged the screws down and made it fit. So it left a huge gap up there. All they needed to do was flip the material around and it would have fit perfect. But they did that with one sheet. And I thought maybe the bugs were coming through there, but they're not. I stuck a camera up there and there's just nothing up there. So it was that corner there and then this whole back wall back in there. So, okay, it's raining outside. Yeah, it's raining outside now, so I'm stuck in here, but yeah, what a bunch of problems here. Just fixing things and yeah, just crazy. And then it's just been an interesting week. Not my most recent neighbor, but my wife and I, when we first got married, the house that we had, it was in a small neighborhood, and we had a really good neighbor, Lyle. And unfortunately, he just passed away, we just found out. And that's, it's kind of a shocker. I mean, he was only in his mid-60s, and great guy. I mean, just one of those guys that's just, yeah, just a great guy that just, it's kind of a, he just retired 2 years ago. And it was just a complete shocker. I mean, just a complete bummer. I haven't physically seen him in a long time, but on Facebook, and we always chit-chat, kind of post, you know, politically things that, you know, we're pretty aligned that way, and we constantly, you know, comment on each other. Like, it was one of those things, like, he would always comment, you know, and yeah, it was a shocker. It was a very bummer, big bummer. So it's one of those things, like I always tell people, I mean, life is short, and if you're like, oh, I'll just work a few more years, you know, and then I'll retire. I mean, really think about it. It's unexpected and nothing's guaranteed. So, yeah, because mid-60s, that's not old. I mean, he literally retired 2 years ago, because I remember it. It was yeah. So, but yeah. So this week we're going to be getting ready for the, sorry I'm stuck in here, but it's literally pouring outside, and that insulation job that I did for the Minisplit to run the whole thing, since it was 20 something feet and having to tape it, it took me a lot longer than expected. And then I know there's something else I wanted to talk about, but I can't. Oh, my brother was here. He made it, like I said, through the snowstorm, and then he left early this week and drove back. But while he was here, we didn't get to take him hiking, but you know, he said he's going to be back. We took him to Harrison, took him for a good Mexican restaurant, and then we made him a really good steak dinner, and it was really good. And we did some Homestead pizza. My wife makes this really good gluten-free, normally in cast iron, but she tried it a different way. I'll show some pictures of it. Hopefully we're going to show how to make it in some upcoming videos. A lot of recipes that we use canned goods that we canned, pretty much all of them. And I keep forgetting because we'll be outside doing some work or whatever, and then we just cook it and forget to do it. So I got to do that. And then I'm trying to think what else. So much going on, but it's just making progress. And that's the the old military saying, one foot forward. As long as you just keep doing that, you'll yeah. I'm just tired, so I'm gonna end this here. I'm not gonna ramble as much as I want. And then excited about the people that saw the Thank You Bigfoot little contest thing. I did mail off one little treat. 3 people responded, and that was kind of my cutoff. But wow, talk about something that's gonna affect all of us. I wasn't as aware, and maybe I should have been, but I went to the post office, and I mailed a small package that a couple years ago, I don't know, a year ago, it would have been like $1, maybe at the most $3, not even $3, probably $1 to $2. Little tiny padded envelope, probably doesn't even weigh 3 ounces. And it was $5 to mail. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, wow, these people that do Etsy, eBay, things like that, it is going to be to the point where it's just not worth it. I mean, you sell a $10 item, nobody's going to want to pay $5 to ship it. It's crazy, but yet I don't know how Amazon and these big companies, you can buy stuff, when you combine shipping, they'll ship you items separately, or if you have Prime, and they'll ship you a $5 item for free. I mean, something's just not driving very good, but yeah, totally different rant. Hopefully you guys like the thermal video, because I've been using that in the inspection camera a lot. And today is Friday. I'm so off on my schedule. I had some videos pre-made, so when my brother was here, I wasn't filming to kind of spend time with him, so that was nice. But I need to make a review video for Monday. This is going to be next Friday's video. I still got to do Monday's video, so this one just had a lot of little things. This one just took a long time to make just because of all the projects were kind of spread out and they just took me a long time. And I got some cool products that just came in to review, but unfortunately we have to make some bread first. We have to make some other things to kind of go with the review. And yeah, but I'm going to leave it at that. Stay safe, everybody, because we're getting some weather coming in. And until next time, I will see you all. Thanks again. And I don't know if I mentioned it in the last video, but it was so funny. Here I am rambling. But a couple weeks ago, before New Year's, I was like, man, I would love to get my 4,000 subscribers, and I only needed like 5 to go. And it took like a month to get those 5. And then right after the New Year, ooh, there's a fruit fly. Man. Right after the New Year, I got the 5, and then I got like 15 more or something. And I'm like, it's just so funny how it works. It's so I just, my next goal is, I really don't have a goal. I probably have something, it's just make better videos and just have more fun and just get things done. Because I need to get a hair. I'm just been doing so many little projects, and I really need to get out, talk to some people. It was like good having my brother here, because we've been, yeah, kind of just secluded here. So till next time, take care, and thanks everybody. Bye. There. Thanks. Like and subscribe. I gotta support this shirt because it was a gift, and I love it.